Hello and welcome to another episode of the Unsure to Unstoppable podcast. I'm going to be joined in a little second by Stephanie Ward, somebody who I've just got to know online, to be honest. Don't know much about her story. I'm always quite interested when I'm in the same kind of boat as you, just to listen in and hear her story and hear the incredible journey that she's been on. So I will be joined in a little second by Stephanie. See you in a tick. Yeah. I am welcomed by the lovely Stephanie. I'm buzzing to have you on, so thank you so much for joining me today. Obviously, I don't know, we've not actually connected other than over like Instagram and stuff like that, so I don't know your story. I am as much a non-person knowing much about you as the listener is. So we're just going to go straight for it, and we're both up for going deep as well, aren't we? We're both these kind of girls, which I love. So just start off, if anybody who doesn't know you, who is Stephanie Ward?
Yeah, so I'm Stephanie Ward. I'm on Facebook as Stephanie Stevenson Ward because I was only married for like a hot minute, so I kept my maiden name with my surname just to not confuse people. Although it's caused a lot more confusion because I've also had a life for 13 years, so swings and roundabouts. But I'm the founder of the Spicy Brain Collective, Spicy Brain Energy, and Stephanie Ward and Co. And what really excites me is helping people who are neurodivergent or otherwise marginalised to excel in their business through a range of done for and done with business services. But I think what makes it really special is that I have so many reasons why I shouldn't be successful. And I think I've turned my own sort of challenges and various, adverse experiences into something really magical. So I've kind of developed this whole zero tolerance almost attitude towards excuses because I think we can all make excuses or we can actually own our stuff and do things in a way that works for us. And it's something that I really try and drive forward every single day because everyone's got just so much potential. And do you not think there's so many people around us who just aren't tapping into that?
100%, absolutely. There's so many people, and it's just the way of this Western world as well, isn't it? That we're just living in this bubble. A lot of people are living in a bubble. Amazing. So obviously you said you've had some adversity and stuff like that, and you can go as far back as you like. Where did all obviously you're in an incredible space now, but where did it all kind of begin? Like let's go all the way back to before you had this kind of strength and power within you.
So I would say that my teenage years were quite fraught. Um, my stepdad chose a new religion when I was 13, which was quite controversial at the time, and which resulted in me at 15 being illegally married off in Islamic law, which surprises a lot of people considering, I am a white British woman. My stepdad is also white British. And as much as he made that decision for himself, and I absolutely do not take that from him, that was something that made him very happy and still continues to do so. For us, he got involved with some quite culturally strict communities. And what that meant was that when I was an undiagnosed ADHD teenager who was rebelling, the consensus was that a good man would put me in my place. And so I really struggled through my teenage years because I was horribly bullied. At the time we had various things going on with in America just after the September 11th attacks. So people really
Mhm.
didn't understand Islam as the peaceful religion that it is. And so that kind of fed into a lot of things that happened over the years that followed. Around the age of 16, I started having horrible back pain and it just felt like someone was standing on my lower back all the time. And I was working in a job that meant standing up. I was in pharmacy, and it just was awful. And my GP believed that it was trauma or because I, had various things going on at home, and it was quite unpleasant to just have it dismissed. They still gave me painkillers, but they didn't actually do anything about it.
Mhm.
And this went on for years, mate. I mean, like this went on until I went through my pregnancy with my son at 21 because I had a baby at 21, which is entirely planned, despite what some people like to throw in
Mhm.
there. And I got symphysis pubis dysfunction, which is where your pubic bones and the cartilage kind of all go soft and mushy, and it bloody hurts. It feels like someone's trying to stand on your lady parts. It's really awful. But that didn't go away after I gave birth, and it wasn't until my normal GP retired in 2014 that I actually saw a doctor who did anything about it. So I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2014, which I never thought was the right diagnosis for me. For some people it may be, but I do not feel that that was what was right. Within a year, I'd also been diagnosed with bilateral hip dysplasia.
Wow.
So that condition's usually picked up in babies at birth. It's you know when they
Wow.
do the whole wiggle the baby's pelvis around, that
Mhm.
that's That's what they do. But because I have a type called acetabular anteversion, it means the backs of the sockets are uncovered. So what that meant was any x-rays, if they had done it, might not have actually picked it up until quite a bit later in life. So I went to have an x-ray this one random Thursday, and I asked if I could see it because I'm nosy and because I actually was very interested in medicine at one point. And I could see that my sockets didn't look quite like there was not enough socket to go around. So I
Mm,
went home and I started Googling like mad because as much as there's Googling, like this was like deep research. I went quite far down the peer-reviewed papers thing and I was finding pictures of dog pelvises. I'm like,
mm,
well, that's when I kind of went down like this might be hip dysplasia. So I went to my mum and I said, I think this is what I've got. She went, don't be daft, I'd find it as a baby. Turns out I
mm,
did. And I've had a lot of surgery to fix that, but when that was kind of over with, the brain fog bit didn't go away. And it was a client who said to me, when we diagnosed, and I assumed that she was referring to my hip dysplasia, and it turns out she meant ADHD. I went, I ain't got that. This
mm,
client in particular was a GP who does diagnostics in like the Warrington, Cheshire area. She's like, honey, you need to look at that. And it turns out I also have raging autism and ADHD. So the fibromyalgia kind of covered the pain and brain fog, but actually that wasn't what it was. It turns out it wasn't the simplest solution. It was two
mm.
overlapping things, but neither were diagnosed at the time. And so, yeah, that's kind of impacted my entire life at this point. Like when I think about how much I've had to learn to walk again, even, the surgery for hip
Wow.
dysplasia, they break your pelvis and move the bones. It's really juicy.
Jeez, that's awful.
Yeah, you know what it is though? I was very lucky. So the second best surgeon in the UK for this actually was based at my local hospital. He is now an honorary professor because he's that good. His mentor retired last year or the year before, and he's now like the leading expertise in the UK for young hip issues. And I have to say,
Mhm.
when I first saw him, I wasn't feeling like I could do anything. I can honestly say that I thought that this was what this was going to be forever. Like I was on high doses of morphine. I was, using a wheelchair most days, if not every
Yes.
day. That it was really unpleasant. I was parenting a special needs child at the time. I mean, I still am. He's just less needy than he used to be. But
Yeah.
I think we look at disability as such a fixed construct. We assume that once we're disabled, it's kind of downhill from there.
Mm,
And because I bought into that mindset, it didn't even cross my mind that there was a possibility that maybe I could actually get better again.
hmm.
And that was a really powerful realization for me.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and mindset's so huge, isn't it, when it comes to anything, but especially if you've got like a something that's potentially could be used as a bit of, without sounding disrespectful, a bit of an excuse to be like, oh well, this is where I am.
Well, yeah, I think it's very easy for us as a society to make excuses for things. A great example of this is that, I go to a lot of events and quite often people are putting their needs onto the event producers. And one thing that I will always say is that you wouldn't go to the North Pole with no coat on and complain you're cold. So
Yeah.
if you know you're going to something where you are going to have needs, for example, if you have accessibility needs or dietary needs, or you just know it's going to be loud, you know that if it's going to be loud, you can put headphones on. You
Yeah.
know that if lunch is provided, but actually your diet requirements are quite complex, that you can take some food with you to make that easier.
Hmm.
As much as it's great for event producers to do as much as they can, I genuinely believe that we have a responsibility to ourselves. Nobody's coming to save you. Whether you
Yeah.
like it or not, nobody is coming to save you. I am a single mum with ADHD, autism, hip dysplasia, and a heart condition now as well. And I know that nobody's coming to rescue me. It is my job and my job alone to do the best I can to navigate the world on any given day. Because
Yeah.
if I don't turn up to work, it's not just my salary that doesn't get paid. There's 8 other people who don't get paid.
Yeah.
So if I'm not looking after myself, I'm also not looking after the people in turn. So I think the main thing I've learned through all of this is that if you're not filling up your cup and actually taking care of your needs and doing what you need to do and taking that real honest accountability, yeah, you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting everybody else down by letting yourself down. And I will stand by that.
100%. So let's go back to when was the kind of tipping point, I feel like, when was like the point where you were like, I need to do something about this, or have you always had that kind of mentality?
I can honestly say there was a tipping point. There was a very big tipping point. So I had my first big surgery in July 2018, and mate, it was bad. I got
Mm.
to see the surgeon at 6 months, and I said, I'm not going to get my mobility back if something doesn't change here because I was not recovering the way I was hoping to. And there was a guy, and I will name him. He's called Dave Hopper, and he works for the physiotherapy service, and he was a fibromyalgia specialist. And I said, I think the only way I'm going to get better here is Dave Hopper. I think he's got the answers. Because what Dave did differently to a lot of physiotherapists was that he didn't set me like, do 10 reps of this, do 5 of this. What Dave said was like, walk yourself to the school, take yourself halfway to your son's school
Yeah.
and then drive back. And
Hmm.
then, walk back in the afternoon and then drive the rest of the way. Do things that get you some of the way there, like build real life goals, things that you have to do every day. So I
Hmm.
started doing that. And then once I kind of got my mobility back to almost there, it just happened I went to this training session at a charity locally called the Toby Henderson Trust. And there was
Hmm.
this fabulous, bright pink haired speech therapist there. And when I saw them, I was like, I need that person to be my friend.
Hmm.
And every session that Anna and I ran that summer, I went to, even if we were completely unrelated. I call it my aggressive friend stalking era because I was like, I just knew that Anna had something that was going to change my life. And it turned out this is so funny. So I hired Anna as a coach, but then we were talking on the phone and they went, I know where I know you from. I was like, okay. So I went to study speech and language sciences for a whole semester at one point. And the interview panel had like people from the university and one person from the community who'd done the degree before.
Right.
Anna was my community panel person, right? But I didn't even
Wow.
recognize them at all. So Anna remembered my talk and was like, you know what it is? I just knew that you would be right for the degree. It turns out there was a lot of things, going on that meant I didn't continue the degree. But it's like we were always meant to meet. And what Anna did with me was very much like, just giving me the power within me that was already there. I just be like, you know what, you can do this. You can get better. You can choose for things to be different. And when I had my next operation, this is an even worse story. It was due
Mm.
on the 2nd of April 2020.
Right.
I got a phone call the 23rd of March saying, don't worry about this whole pandemic thing. We're still going to be doing surgery. 24th of May, they were like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So I was like, because I'd waited nearly 2 years and I was really, really wanting to get it done and just get back on with my life. And then I got a call at the beginning of August 2020. I'm like, look, we're starting doing elective surgeries again. If you want to come in, we've got an appointment in 2 weeks, but you need to isolate from today. I was like, I'm in straight away.
Hmm.
So I isolated for 2 weeks. I went in and had my second surgery, and then I had isolated for 2 weeks after. So I was isolated for 31 days.
Jeez.
Because the variant at the time meant that if you got that, there was like a 90% fatality rate for post-surgical patients. So it was really important I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and I was fine. The hospital experience was something.
Yeah, I can
Um,
imagine at that time for sure.
yeah, for me, it was mostly to do with the food, I'll be completely honest. Because I'm not a picky eater, right? But hospital food is tripe, let's be honest. And
Yeah.
I had like 6 tuna sandwiches in 3 days. And on the last day of my admission, I burst into tears. And one of the domestics, Yvonne, actually used to play in the garden with my dad as a child. I was like, what's the matter with you? Was Yvonne, I just want to eat something other than a tuna sandwich. And I was
Uh,
proper emotional. She's like, look, get someone to bring you some food in and I'll go and get it off them. So my then partner brought KFC to the like outpatient centres and Yvonne took me down
Glorious.
and got us me KFC. Just 'cause all I wanted was some fried chicken. I ate a family bucket on my own because I just needed something that wasn't frickin' tuna. I don't think I've eaten a tuna sandwich to this day. Do you know that? Like
Traumatized by the hospital food.
hardcore tuna sandwich trauma.
Oh, brilliant, fabulous.
It
Oh
was
wow. So obviously you've had like it has been a lot. There's been a lot going on. What would you have said? What would have been like, your fears and stuff like that back then in that time? Would you have had any kind of fears that were
yeah.
prevalent?
And I think the biggest fear was that I was never going to get better. And it's something that me and
Mhm.
Anna did a lot of work on. And she actually introduced me to various networks that were full of good, like-minded people who actually were all striving for better. And what was really cool about that was is that when I then decided I was well enough after my second surgery to go back to work, I
Mhm.
didn't want to go back to what I used to do. I was horribly treated in my previous job. So I thought, you know what it is, I'm going to do something on my own. And I'd done a bit of freelancing over the years and like bits and bobs. And one of my friends, Nikki, said, you should be a virtual assistant. I said, Nikki, I'd rather shit in my hands and clap. That sounds awful. She went,
Yeah.
I know, but do it anyway. I was like, okay, fine. So I put an advert out on Facebook and I was just like, I'll see how it goes. My biggest fear at that point was that nobody would hire me because I didn't have a reputation for this at all. Somebody
Yeah.
hired me the same day and I started work the next day.
Wow.
I was
I
very, very,
hated it.
and it was somebody that I met through the network that Anna introduced me to during the pandemic. So actually, it was like uh, pretty much every road can be traced back to Anna in some ways. And I'm very, very grateful for everything that they've done for me. But yeah, so I think the scary part was like, can I actually do this? Because,
Yeah.
my body hadn't been reliable for quite some time. Like I was building it back up and it was getting there, but was my body actually going to stand the test of being self-employed? Because I had to count on me. My clients needed me to do the things. What if I couldn't?
Yeah.
And turns out very much can because we're 5.5 years in and nobody's died yet, touch wood.
There's also an element of though when you do have ADHD, you have, I mean, again, I might be totally crucifying this here, but you can be a little bit like magpie, like I want to do, what to do, oh, which is difficult in business because you can't be like that, really. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you can if you build your business like that. So what I'm
Well,
really
true.
lucky at, well, I've been very fortunate in that I am a huge sponge for knowledge. So I'll go out and find as much information as I can. And if somebody says to me, "Can you do that?" I'll be honest and say, "Not now, but I can give it a go." And I just went and learned. And what was really cool about Liz, who was the first person who hired me, she hired me to also work in a charity that she was working at, and they just needed someone to put their fingers in holes. And that's all I did. I learned marketing, I learned to do WordPress better because I've done a little bit, but better. I learned Canva, I learned fundraising, I learned everything because I literally just tasked myself to it. So what's
Yeah.
really good about that is when my ADHD is full on kicking off, I have about 30 different things I can do because I can
Yeah.
be like, well, what do I fancy today?
Yeah.
And I can pick from a menu. Admittedly, it's a lot easier now that I've got a team because before, if there was something that I couldn't do, I would have to like wait for the adrenaline to kick in. So the like procrastination, deadline energies would kick in and I would do it with the adrenaline. Now
Hmm.
I can pick and choose, but also I've got a team of people who are picking up the day-to-day stuff. So
Yeah.
that if it's something I can't do or can't get motivated for, somebody else will. Something I'm
Yeah.
really proud of in my company is that we are a disability confident level 3 employer. There's less than
Wow.
600 employers in the whole UK have ever achieved that out of 5.7 million businesses in the UK. Less than
Wow.
600 have this certification. And what I do is I intentionally recruit, retain, mentor, and support neurodivergent talent. So my whole team is made of neurodivergent people like me.
Yeah.
Because in a normal workplace, they probably wouldn't thrive. Not because there's anything wrong with them, but because the workplaces they will be in isn't made for people like our like us and our brains.
Yeah.
And what I do is I bring them in and I just teach them everything, mate. I teach them everything
Mhm.
that I know. And then I say to them, what do you want to do? What do
Yeah.
you want to focus on? Because if you can imagine, if you want a website built and you go to just anybody, that's up to you. But if you go to someone who's really excited about websites and really,
Yeah.
really enthusiastic, you're going to get a better customer experience because they are enthused. They are excited and they're going to be chasing the dopamine doing your job. So you're going to get more efficient use of time and all sorts. Like
Yeah.
how fabulous is that?
Yeah, 100%. I think that it's so important, isn't it, to have these people who are doing the jobs that you maybe don't really want to do because you do have that opposite end of the ADHD, don't you, where you're like total procrastination, doing nothing, the dial is not moving because you're like just totally not doing anything, aren't you? So it's good having a team.
It is. And the thing is that we're not all meant to be good at everything. If we were all
Yeah.
excellent at everything, we would all be exactly the same. We are designed as human beings to have different strengths and challenges because that's how the world works. And,
Hmm.
something that I'm really proud of with my team is that they are good at communicating, like saying, this is not my wheelhouse, somebody else pick this up.
Yeah.
But I think employers now they look for people based on a role. So you'll have an idea of these are the tasks I want a person to do. Well, actually, I don't look at it like that at all because if people looked at me like that, actually they need to look at who I am as a human being because I am so much more than a list of tasks.
Yeah.
I am a person with a personality and enthusiasm and joy and despair. We have to have joy and despair to balance out everything.
Yeah.
But what I look for when I'm recruiting now, based on my own experiences, is like they have to get it. So do they get the mission? And this is something that a
Hmm.
lady called Natalie taught me is do they get what we're trying to achieve here? Do they really fully understand what our mission is? And the next one is, do they want it? So they can get it all day, but if they don't want to be part of it, it's not a great idea to bring them into that fold. They need to want to be here and want to be a part of that bigger mission. And the third part is capable, because the thing is that they may be capable of something that I haven't thought of that I'm actually really, really need. So as long as they get it and want it, everyone's capable of something. So I
Yeah.
believe in nurturing what that innate capability is rather than trying to force a square peg into the round hole.
Yeah.
And I have to say I'm very proud of the team I've got because they are just they're living in their zone of genius, they're working in their zone of genius. My clients are happy. And it's all because we don't look at the way we do things based on the role, but we actually look at the human being behind it. Employee
Yeah.
neurodivergence is something that so many employers are missing out on because we've got so much to bring. It's just
Yeah.
about tapping into that hidden genius that's sort of
Yeah.
sitting there unnurtured and unloved.
Oh, I love that. Like you've said, as a hidden genius rather than it being an actual negative. It's actually a massive positive, isn't it?
Yeah.
So talk us through, obviously at the beginning you had said you've obviously got three different businesses, but you shouldn't be successful. So you tapped into where you kind of started to go into the business and being a self-employed business owner. How have you now then got to where you are, where you've got three businesses and you've got staff and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. Honestly, what I can say is that it's been hard, and it would be a lie to
Mm,
say it'd been anything else. If you've heard the song Life of a Showgirl by Taylor Swift, there's the whole bridge where it's like, I took up pills of wisdom, hung them around my neck, I paid my dues with every bruise, I knew what to expect. And that's exactly what I've done. I've really had to, you know, push myself, because the thing is, the world of work wasn't made for me. So I've had to
yeah,
push myself into shapes that don't naturally come from me, because by doing that, what I've done is create things that help other people. And I think it's, I'm trying to find the words for this one. It's like, I've always ever been from the frame of mind of start where you are, use what you have,
hmm,
and do what you can.
yeah,
Because if you're trying to do something that you can't do, it's never going to succeed. I
yeah,
think getting to where I am, it's probably about 20% caffeine, about 50% spite, and about 30% hard work. Because
hmm,
people say that, oh, you should be able to just relax and float in a business. You have to be willing to do the hard work.
yeah,
And it's even harder when you have additional needs to do the hard work, because I've got ADHD working against me every single day. The pain in my
hmm,
hips can cause, like, fatigue. I can get tired really quickly. My
hmm,
autism can mean that I can miscommunicate with people and end up getting really upset because I can't understand where it's gone wrong. The heart
yeah,
condition that I've developed, so I've lost quite a lot of weight as well, because being disabled, I put it on being stuck in a wheelchair. So I did use GLP-1 injections to lose the weight. I've lost it perfectly according to NHS guidelines, but my body is really confused, and I've got something
yeah,
called dysautonomia, where my blood pressure is very, very low, which means I can just pass out randomly. I could stand up now and be chewing the doorstep in 30 seconds. And
mm,
it's really scary, but the thing is, there's so many things that are there that could be the reason that I wouldn't be successful. But the
hmm,
reality is, I choose to work with them, not against them. Listen to what my body needs, listen to what my, you know, nervous system is telling me.
yeah,
I have recruited in a team that can support me, because guess what? Asking for help isn't like taboo, it isn't a dirty word. You are allowed to say, I need help. If people
yeah,
don't help you, you ask someone else. That's
hmm,
something in my marriage. I once asked my ex-husband if I could borrow £300, and
hmm,
he just said no, flat no. And this was like for our son's Christmas presents. And I never
hmm,
asked him for help again, ever. I wouldn't.
hmm,
But what I did do is I was like, who else can look after me? For a long time, I wouldn't lean in. Now I
hmm,
very much will lean in and ask for help when I need it. So I've got all these things going on. When I'm at events now, I have to say to my friends, if I am not well, this is where the stuff is that I need to make me well. If I'm not near it and I ask you for it, could you help me get that? I'm not expecting anyone to come and save me, but it's okay to actually,
yeah.
trust these things.
It's having the balance, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. It is all about balance, and I'm very privileged that I have a very good group of friends, like of all genders, but particularly my male friends, because I think there's so much goes on in this world right now about this whole the manosphere, and the
Mm,
62 million men that access that horrible website. And I'm surrounded by good men who chivalry isn't dead for them. They're the kind of friends who, bought me a hat when we were out the other night because it was cute, and brought me some cheesecake because they'd really, I thought you might just like it. And it's that feeling safe to ask people for help.
yeah.
There's so many reasons that trauma could have said to me, don't ask for help. You can only trust yourself. No one's coming. But
Hmm.
actually, it's okay to ask for help when you need it, because guess what? Someone else is going to need it one day, and you're going to help them back.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's so crucial. You said a few words there like help, safe, and trust. And I think when you have been through quite traumatic circumstances or whatever it may be, sometimes you can get, especially like if you've been in that circumstance with your husband where you didn't, you asked for help and you basically get shunned. I feel like that can make you completely like barriers up, not like not never asking for help again, and it can very easily be like the rest of your story, can't it? But recognizing that actually like asking for help is actually crucial. It's part of our it's also part of our like if you go back into our ancestry, like everybody was everybody's biggest cheerleader and helped everybody and it was part of just how we were how we evolved through back in the caveman days sort of thing. Everybody was just everybody's helper. And being feeling safe, like you said, is so crucial. But as is trusting both yourself and the people who are around you is so crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think one thing that I'm really proud of is that there's a lot of reasons that I shouldn't trust people. There's a lot of reasons that I should be
Yeah,
scared. There was an article went out in Glamour magazine about me actually at the weekend because when I was 16, somebody went through my phone and took some photographs of me in my underwear out of my phone that I had taken because I'm a teenager with big boobs and I thought, oh, this looks cute. I was
yeah.
16, Keely Hazel was topless on page 3 at the same time. But
Hmm.
somebody took those and circulated them around school. And what's really scary now is that image-based abuse hasn't stopped. It's still
Hmm.
happening. We can use AI to take people's clothes off now. So,
Yeah,
that's gone public, and I'm not scared to talk about it. I think we need to do more about like talking about things that are perceived to be shameful because guess what? We all humans and we all screw up. But something that I'm really proud of with myself is that I still have the ability to love everyone around me unconditionally. My way of marketing is something that's called kvell, Kvell, and it's a Yiddish word that kind of means an overwhelming sense of like platonic love and pride for another human. And if you ever want to see
beautiful.
what kvell looks like in action, my friend Washington and I are the perfect example of that. So when I saw him at the hotel on Thursday morning, I literally running jumped hugged him, and I was literally like in his arms, getting snuggled in because I haven't seen him in a while, and that's just what it looks like. Me and Wash have such a sense of love for each other as friends, and I apply that to every single person I meet. So in business, I will hug and fell on every single person I meet. Like even if somebody is perceived to be not a good person by others, I will give them a chance and I will fell on
Yeah.
them because I think we spend, especially with my background in Islam, is that we spend a lot of time worrying about like radicalization and turning people against things. But actually, what if we applied the concept of radical kindness? Like, what if we
Mm,
were just radically kind to everybody? So even people who have very extreme, very negative, very hateful views, what if we just radicalize them with love and kindness?
yeah.
Because I think there's not enough of that in the world. And if we go around and do that, how much more good could we do? How much better could everything be? So I'm very proud
100%.
of myself that even with everything that's gone on, I can still unconditionally love people around me without the fear of being hurt. Because guess what? People are going to hurt you, but I
Yeah.
will never feel sad for that because I only ever met them with love.
Yeah, and also like it's a lesson, isn't it? No matter what happens, as long as you can take the lesson from it, then it doesn't not matter. Of course, it matters, but as long as you can take the lesson from it, then if someone hurts you, and again recognizing that it's on them if they hurt you, and it's not on you. Do you know what I mean? And shifting the perspective is massive. But if you were to just keep yourself closed off, you're then not allowing yourself to be in these incredible environments and have these incredible experiences with whomever that may be. It's a
Yeah.
lovely way to look at things with a kindness, 100%. There's too much hate in the world. If everybody was a bit more kinder, then the world would be a better place.
I agree. Like when I went to Ideas Fest in September 2024, I sat down on this bench and I could have just sat with my friends and just kind of kept to it. But I sat next to this man, and it turned out it was Washington. I sat next to this man. I said, I am going to sing Shine Jesus Shine at the top of my lungs. I only know the one line, Are you in? And this man looked me in the face and said, I am in. And if I wasn't open to new connections and love and all these things, I wouldn't have met one of my best friends in the entire world because I would
Yeah,
have been almost scared to have that conversation.
yeah.
So just opening that conversation up and just being like, I'm going to do this. Are you? And he matched my energy, and he's matched my energy every day
Oh.
since.
So obviously been meant to be that you've sat next to each other and that whole like his thing has happened, isn't it? So beautiful.
Absolutely. Like
Amazing.
it's about just surrounding yourself with the good people, but you can't meet the good people unless you're open to having actually being out there, putting yourself out there in spite of everything that's happened to you is the most
Hmm.
powerful thing you can do.
So if somebody was in a position that maybe you were before
Mhm.
and maybe felt the fear and had like lots of adverse things happen to them, what would you say to them to like, because that can be scary, can't it? Like what would you say to them to take that first step? What would be the first step to like shift in the life?
I would honestly say is that you need to be willing to do the work. It's like
Mm,
if you're trying to build muscles in your body, okay, and you go to the gym and you lift 100 kilograms on Monday, you go back on Tuesday, your arms are sore. If you lift 80 kilograms, that's fine. But if you go back on Wednesday and say, I can only do 80 because 100 makes me sore, you're only going to ever lift 80 and you're going to contract. Whereas you go back on the Wednesday and say, I'm going to do 101 today. It's
mhm.
about pushing yourself that little bit further. I'm not talking pushing yourself to burnout. Don't do
Yeah,
that. Push yourself to that little bit. It's like stretching yourself, right?
yeah,
Stretch your capabilities. If you feel like you can only go this much, stretch it that tiny little bit more and that tiny little bit more because every time you work that little bit harder and just push yourself, you're going to increase your capacity, increase your resilience, and you're going to do amazing things. Where you are
mhm.
now is a starting point, and regardless of, there are some disabilities that are degenerative, and I will allow for that. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of the time, what makes us more disabled is how we see ourselves. Society
Mhm.
disables us, and we internalize that, and we see ourselves as more disabled than we are. I think if we look at ourselves and be like, I am exactly where I need to be. A great example of this is like there was an advert about if you believe I can't, then I won't. And it was people
Yeah.
with Down syndrome doing things like buying things like cocktails. If you tell them they can't, they won't. But actually, if you
Mhm.
just say, okay, you can do that. We can do that for ourselves. We can give ourselves permission to try. We're not going to get everything right. We're going to screw it up. We're going to hurt ourselves. We're going to push too hard and learn our capacity. But if you don't try, like if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right either way. You have to be
Yeah.
willing to push yourself that little bit because, like I said, nobody's coming to save you. Yes, there's help. Help is all around, but you
Mhm.
are the person responsible for you. And it's just that
Yeah.
little bit of like choosing better, choosing joy, choosing
Mhm.
to believe that actually great things are possible.
Yeah, 100%. And you did mention about obviously the fibromyalgia. I can never pronounce
That's
that.
fine.
Um, but like that, some people use that, not use it, that's the wrong wording, but some people can allow that to completely like cut them off from doing anything. Like my mum's got it as well and has been diagnosed with it, but I know quite a lot of people who it's like they're just lying down to it, and it's just like a complete surrender to it rather than being like, right, I've got this, what can I do? Rather than the kind of alternative, but it's just this is what I am.
Yeah, and I think with fibromyalgia as well, what's really important to know about it is that it's almost like an amplifier for other things, right? So fibromyalgia is almost like an amplification syndrome. It
Yeah.
amplifies existing pain, it amplifies existing fatigue. Or actually, if you're building your resilience to, overcome the pain and overcome the fatigue, I firmly believe in prehabilitation, as in doing the work before it's needed. Because if
Yeah.
you're having surgery and you're in great condition, you're going to recover faster. If
Yeah.
you're unwell but you're doing the work, you're going to feel better. So it doesn't have to be running marathons, it doesn't have to be lifting 100 kilograms, but it's little things that you can do to keep yourself in good condition to just fight
Hmm.
back that little bit. The
Hmm.
second you choose to surrender and let something overcome you, it will,
Yeah.
because your brain is the most powerful thing in all of this. If your brain believes that you are never going to get any better, you never will.
Yeah, 100%. I could not agree with that anymore. I think if the power of the brain is just like it's insurmountable, isn't it? Like there's no like it's fascinating how powerful the brain is, and there's so many people that aren't even slightly tapping into that, aren't they?
There's things you can do even with ADHD medication. So one of my friend's sons, Luke is incredible. He's 26 and he does a lot of reading. He's an absolute dork, bless him. I love him. And he did some research into, using your meds to kind of catalyze like getting things done. So he read this paper that says that if you take your ADHD medication at the same time as you start to do the thing you don't want to do, your brain will associate the dopamine you're getting from the medication with the
Yes.
task you're doing. So you can reprogram your brain to like the task you hate because of the fact your medication gives you the boost that makes you feel good. So like I'm fascinated by neuroplasticity and just the
Yeah.
possibility that we can rewire ourselves and we can like I convinced myself I wasn't in pain just purely by pushing myself that little bit more and like I'm choosing not to feel it, I'm choosing to work through it. It's not an easy thing to do. And I have been called ableist by people before, but I think
Hmm.
actually, there are some things that are never going to get better. We know this, but your mindset can change how you feel about that. I could choose not to
100%.
get up every morning. I could choose to let my heart condition overwhelm me every single day. But I get up, I drink my electrolytes, I take my meds, and I just try. There are some days I don't get up till 11 o'clock because my blood pressure's too low, and that's fine. But
Hmm.
I try anyway.
Hmm.
And I just wish
100%.
more people could do that.
Hmm. And what do you think is the thing that holds people back from actually having that kind of mindset?
I think some of it is societal. I think society doesn't view
Mm.
disabled people as having potential. I
Yeah.
genuinely believe that the society we live in views disabled people as less than. It
Mm.
creates barriers for us rather than actually removing them. I do also think that if we surround ourselves by the wrong circles, we're destined to fail. As when I
Mm.
was going through the worst of my chronic pain, I was in a lot of online sort of fibromyalgia support groups, and there was a lot of people. It was like lots of people. I call them like 11eries because if you've been to Tenerife, they've been to 11eries, and like
Yeah, yeah.
you were sharing your things of validation, they were telling you how much worse their life was, and actually. It's very easy to go down that dark place and be like, oh my God, this is what I've got to look forward to. This is what my life's going to be like. And actually, that can be really bad if you find yourselves in people like I'm not saying go for the toxic positivity either because that's just as bad, but going for
Yeah.
people who are open to the possibility of better, people who are working on themselves, people who are really trying to fight back rather than succumbing to what's going on. I think if you can find those people, like cling on to them. Anna Knight was one of those people for me, and what they did for me changed my life.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you can fly with the crows or you can fly with the eagles, and you choose, don't you? And they can be so massively shape your existence, can't they?
Yeah, we do have choices every single day, and it's okay to make choices based on how we feel on any given day. I might
Mm,
choose today to just take it easy this afternoon, or I
yeah.
might choose to work until 11 o'clock at night because I might get a second wind and think I'm going to use this to my advantage and work hard.
Hmm.
We have choices every single day of our lives, but the important thing is making the one that's right for you in the moment and continue to make the right ones and actually evaluating if that choice has been good for you for a long time, is it still a good choice?
Yeah.
When it comes down to relationships, I broke with my ex-partner of nearly 12 years back in August. And
Hmm.
I don't hate him. There's no animosity there, but we just grown apart. And it
Hmm.
wasn't it wasn't a hard decision, it was a painful one
Yeah.
because I knew that for the both of us, it was right to separate. But I knew the pain was that it was going to impact him. It was going to impact my little boy, who is his stepson and has been since the age of 1. And for me, it was just about making the decision that was right and being
Mm,
prepared to ride with the consequences of that.
hmm.
We have to make these decisions every single day, and it's our choice, to do whatever we want to do, as long as we stand behind it and choose to keep doing better every day.
Yeah. And it's so crucial that you're saying that you just when you know something is needs to change, it's like taking that action on it because some people can live in that world of knowing something needs to change, but just the days are going by, the weeks are going by, the months are going by, and nothing's actually changing.
And sometimes it is better the devil you know than the one you don't. Fear is a motivator and shame is a motivator.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at any human behavior, it's either the avoidance of fear or the avoidance of shame.
Mm.
And for me, I was worried what people would think. I was worried about upsetting his family because I don't dislike his family. I have no issue with that man at all. It just we were no longer right for each other. But
Hmm.
all you can do is just make the right choices and ride with what works with you. And
Yeah.
I'll stand by it and say like I still have love for him. He still lives in my house because he hasn't moved out yet. That's the whole thing. But
Mm.
it's like the important thing is that to 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 not take action when I did would have been unkind to him. So as
Yeah.
much as it's painful now, would it be more painful to do it now or 4 years down the line when I'm four
Yeah.
years more resentful, 4 years more bitter? And
Yeah.
actually, it was the right time. Whatever it is in our lives that's holding us back or not right for us anymore, if we choose not to stay, we have to like we have to choose not to stay, or we have to choose to stay there and live with the consequences.
Yeah.
And I guess we just do what's right at any given moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, it's a choice, isn't it? I think that people think when they're not making the choice that they're not making a choice, but actually, if you're not making a choice, then you're choosing to stay the same, aren't you?
Yeah, not choosing to be better is choosing to stay the same. And
Hmm.
in some ways that's allowed. If you want the life that you've got, if you want to be all you ever are right now, that's fine. But
Hmm.
you've always got a choice for a better life. I never thought for 1 minute that I would have a multi-award winning international virtual assistant company, but here we are. And
Yeah.
that was because I made a series of choices to just work hard, do better, and grow my mission. I never thought I'd have employees, and yet I've even counted there's 8 of us in total plus a contractor. And I just think it's really great that I made those choices, and now I'm able to help other people make better choices by leading by example. It's For me, I never wanted to be a leader. I just wanted to make as much money as my ex to put into the bills. So to
Yeah.
find myself in that leadership position with a backstory that inspires others is really uncomfortable sometimes. I do get this like because people say
Mm.
it's inspiring, it's inspirational. I never set out to be inspiring. I just set out to have a job that worked with my body. And
Yeah.
in doing that, we got our disability confident level 3. There's very few people in the UK actually have that. And for
Hmm.
my tiny little company to do that, and for our portfolio assessor to say, there was things on there that even large corporates have never done before, that
Hmm.
wigs me out a bit. And I think all I all I can think of with all of this is that it's important to stay humble, keep doing the
Yeah.
work, because people are looking to me for an example. And if I'm not setting the right one, that's got the potential to go really wrong. So I'm just going to keep
Yeah.
doing the best I can. I think that's all any of us can do.
Absolutely. And I think it's so powerful that you have led from passion, haven't you? Like led from passion and care. And then because it's so authentic, it's then just rippled into this amazing world that you've created. And you have created it. Like you have created it from your own doing. Do you know what I mean? It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, I like with my online community, the intention behind that was only ever to have more friends because at the time I was going through some personal stuff and I didn't have a lot of friends. I thought if I make
Mm.
this free, I'll have more friends. And there's about 370 people in there at the moment, and it's wonderful.
Wow.
But like, it'll only ever be free because I've seen the value that people get from that. You know, we do a rousing pep talk every Monday morning. People all say that it's the only reason they would get up at 9 o'clock on a Monday. But it is
Hmm.
just about, giving people some love, bringing people together, like creating a safe space. There's a lot of spaces that aren't safe for people like me,
Yeah.
whether it's through, disability or whether it's actually through like gender marginalization. I never went out there to say like everybody's welcome and everyone's safe, but also by just being who I am and welcoming people in, it has become that kind of space. And I don't take that lightly either. I think with great power comes great responsibility, and there are 370 people in there looking to me for the example, and I've got no choice but to rise to that. And that's like if you looked at me 10 years ago stuck in a wheelchair versus now, like this is not where I thought I'd be. And every day I
Yeah.
still wake up and absolutely shit myself that this is what I've built. But
Yeah.
I'm going to keep building it. There was a time last year where I was really struggling. I had a bad time at the end of 2024, and I was ready to close it all down. I'll be honest. There was a deep sense in me is that this was coming to an end, and I needed to either stick with it or sell it. So I started making
Mm.
preparations if I was going to get rid of it. And there was a moment in October when I was at an event, and there was a number of people came to me and kind of told me different things that had impacted them that I didn't even know I'd impacted their lives. And between that and my best friend speaking on stage in the morning, I cried all afternoon, proper ugly, because I'm a proper ugly crier, and I just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And it got to the end of the day, and I realized I'm not done yet. I've got too much
Yeah.
impact to have, and I am not done.
Hmm. Sometimes you need that release as well. You need to just let that, like whatever's been thing made up, like let it out, isn't it? But it's that word impact. It's so crucial, isn't it? Like that the importance of impact that becomes the why becomes so much bigger than you.
Yeah. I think there are so many people who are neurodivergent, who are impact driven, who don't
Hmm.
necessarily realize that they can have an impact. And actually, whether it's one person or 5 million people, you are having an impact with your words, with your content, with your thoughts, with your feelings every single day.
Hmm.
And it's important to keep doing that. That like we're all here for a reason. We're all self-employed because we want to do something differently or to help someone else.
Yeah.
And to stop any of that, like to allow a condition or health issue or mental health challenge to stop that, it's taken away from the whole world, not just you.
Yeah.
So I have this thing called the ketchup phenomenon. And it's like if me and you went for fish and chips and they don't bring the ketchup over, you might go, "Oh, they didn't bring the ketchup," and I'll go, "Excuse me, can we get the sauce?" But if it's for me, I will sit and I'll eat the dry chips because I don't value myself enough to ask for myself. And it's
Yeah.
like if we can't show up for ourselves, make it about someone else you love as much as you should love yourself. Make it about
Yeah.
your children, make it about your friends, make it about your clients. Because if
Hmm.
you can choose someone and make it about them, you can fight harder. And
Hmm.
that's the one thing I say. Use the ketchup phenomenon to fight for the people around you so that you can take your mission wider.
Yeah. And also what you said there about like you having to show up. So you've got this community, so you have to show up. So it's like you have put yourself in a position where like not showing up isn't an option because there's all these people, other people, I suppose, effectively relying on you that is that kind of pulling you into that regardless of whether you feel like it or not.
Yeah. I've got this saying which is get up, dress up, show up, and don't give up. Like even
Love
on your
that.
worst days, if you can get out of bed, put your clothes on, and turn up for something, that's
Mm,
that means a lot.
yeah,
Somebody is going to feel that impact, and someone's going to feel good. And guess what? If someone else feels good, it's really contagious. I had a call
yeah,
today at 11 o'clock, and it was just like someone I've never met before, and we just ended up being an absolute joy fest. She's like, "What a call to have on a Monday morning." I was like, "I
beautiful.
wouldn't have it any other way because." If we're going to look for despair, look for sadness, we're going to find it. Because guess what? It's
Yeah,
bloody everywhere. All you've got to do is turn on the telly and the news will tell you enough that you
yeah,
won't want to
for
watch it
sure.
anymore. Or you can look for joy. Like I've looked for joy all day today, and what I've found is that, I've got a little tattoo of a crane here, okay, which I got at an event in October. And when I went to LA in December, one of my friends who was with me for that tattoo made me a crane out of a dollar bill. It's just this little
Beautiful.
little paper thing. But it's little things like that, little totems of joy that we can find around us that just make us feel happy. Look for the joy and you'll find it. Look for the sadness and you'll find it.
100%. It's the whole same thing with gratitude, isn't it? If you look for great what you can be grateful for, that's going to amplify that side. Whereas if you're looking at, oh my goodness, it's raining today, oh my, I'm going to do this, I need to do this, then you're instantly like training your brain to be like negative, 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 and then you're going to find more negative, aren't you? It's like that whole idea.
Yeah. If you're living in your trauma, if you're living in the wound rather than allowing the scar to form, you're
Yeah,
never going to get better. Whereas, do the healing work, allow the scar to form, speak from the scar, not from the wound, because
yeah,
speaking from the wound can harm others, speaking from the scar can help them. It's
Yeah.
something Danny Wallace, my speaker mentor, she very much teaches that very, very strongly
Hmm.
because, you know, everyone's got trauma, and there's trauma with a
Mm.
big T and there's trauma with a little t, and none of them are less valid than the other. It could be, trauma as in human trafficking, or it could be that you slept on a slug on the kitchen floor and it's squelched between your toes. And yes, I can still feel that because it really did happen to me. It was horrible. But there's lots of experiences that make us who we are. And it's important to acknowledge them but not live in them, because
Yeah.
you can't stay in the past forever. You have to move forward, and it is that
Hmm.
choice.
Yeah. And it's learning from that, isn't it? Learning from it and using it as your power instead of the opposite. I think it's so important. The speak from the wound instead of the scar, speak from the scar instead of the wound is something that I totally am all for 100%, because like you said just a few minutes ago about like sometimes like you have to be the person that is the person that's driving that and who's speaking about it and who's opening that door for other people to then come through, and you don't recognize that the importance and the impact you are having on people, because you don't hear it every day. People aren't like that to you every day. Oh my goodness, I heard that, I read that, whatever. But occasionally, I know you'll be the same as me, you'll get this like message from somebody who's never liked a post, never commented it, and never whatever. And it's not just about social media, just in general. And they'll say about how much they are inspired by this, and this. And it's like that's it then cements that, right, no, it's land, like things are landing. I'm doing the thing that I'm set out to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I've, been in this Glamour magazine article this week, and it's a fabulous article. It's very, very vulnerable, and there's people who have been in my world for ages who clearly like what I do because they stick around, but this article was the first thing that I felt compelled to comment on. And
Hmm.
the reality is we've all got common experiences, and we can all learn from each other. Like, I think there's
Hmm.
there's so many people sitting on information because they don't know that other people don't know. And I think
Mm.
when you've got like special needs kids, for example, navigating the EHCP system, navigating special schools, all of that, there's parents out there who've done it and know, but unless you know those parents exist, you can't connect with them.
Yeah.
And it's the same in business. If you're trying to do anything in your business, there's someone else who's done it already. You just need to find them. Anything that we're doing, there's someone else already lived it. And the person who's already lived it is more likely to hold your hand and take you with them
Yeah.
rather than leave you behind, because we know what it's like to feel that pain. I think there's
Hmm.
something in us about people who have survived adversities that we can see our pain in others.
Yeah.
So it's like there's that recognition of, it's almost like connecting with family. It's like you know that they're one of us. And when you're in the good place and someone else isn't, we can help other people. I will
Hmm.
say you shouldn't do it to your own detriment. If helping someone's going to traumatize you, don't do it. But if you are in a
100%.
place where you can help someone else forward, that's our responsibility. Like, it's the hands at each other's backs, and the rising tide lifts all ships. I think that's something I very much try to live by.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. Well, your story has been absolutely incredible. Like, even to have one of those things that could be really massively life limiting, but the fact that you have all this different stuff that's going on, and yet you're still here, you're still like doing incredibly well. You've got an incredible business, you've got the life that you're living. It's incredible. Like, it really is like inspirational. There's no two ways about it. And it's just a beautiful thing to hear your story. What would you say to somebody who is listening to this, who maybe feels inspired, but just doesn't really know what to do? Because I think people, it's a stuck thing, isn't it? People quite often feel a bit stuck. So what would you say to them if they were in that position?
It goes back to that one thing that I've lived by the whole time, and that's start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Like, start exactly where you are with what you have in front of you. Do not
Mm-hmm.
try and be more than you are from day one. Just start somewhere. Like,
Hmm.
if you can walk 5 steps today, walk 6 steps tomorrow. If you can lift 10 kilograms today in your physio, lift 11 next week. But
Yeah.
just start somewhere, do your best always. Like, there's a quote, I need to find this because somebody sent this to me the other day, and it's
Oh.
a really, really good quote as well. Where is she? Because I've got it. I've got it. She's literally messaged me like an hour ago. Where are you, girl? There it is. This quote: your best is what you can achieve without harming your physical, emotional, or mental health.
Beautiful. 100%. And you mentioned earlier on about like at the beginning you just wrote down a list. What are all my skills? Do you know what I mean? Like what can I do?
Yeah.
And that's the starting point, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, whether you're starting a business or just trying to feel well, what can you do today? Write it down. What do you
Mhm.
want to do? It could be something as simple as, I want to walk my child to school without stopping.
Yeah. It's
Start
just building
somewhere.
it. Yeah, 100%. Ask this question to everybody who comes in the pod. Um, if you could go back and tell your younger self, and it can be any age you want to go back, if you could go back and tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
Honestly, it would be tell someone what's going on because you can nip this in the bud faster. There are things
Mm,
that if I had been unafraid to speak up would have changed the entire trajectory of my life. I
hmm
don't regret or dislike anything that's happened to me because everything's made me who I am. But there are things that actually, if I had known more as a young person, that there were mechanisms in place that could have supported me and saved me from things, I absolutely would have pursued them without regret, without any kind of fear whatsoever.
hmm And that's so crucial, isn't it? Just using your voice, like not being afraid to use your voice, which is something I think in these, especially as women, I think is something that we are probably conditioned to be quiet. Like if you think about when we were younger, we probably most of us would have been told, Shh, like children should be seen and not heard, like that kind of chat. Do you know what I mean? Or like as a woman, you were quite often like your voice was maybe not as important, so to speak, as a guy. So earlier on, obviously, you had spoke about how you're you were put into this marriage because a good man will sort you right out. Do you know what I mean? Like that mentality, isn't it? It's quite frightening that is. Although I would say nowadays there's definitely much more younger generation who are more vocal and who are open, like standing up and I think our generation is a generation who have been the first ones to be like, this is not on. We are not having this. Do you know what I mean?
I think the millennials know what it was like before tech. They know what it's like
Yeah.
post tech, and we're just tired. We are just tired of entitlement. We're tired of people taking the mickey. We're just tired, and I think tired people probably aren't the best people to drive the mission, but also they kind of are because when you're that exhausted and just fed up of something, that's what triggers there's something in you to make the change. So tired millennials are going to change the world, and I'll stand by that.
We are the ones that are going to change it. Love
Absolutely.
that. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate you coming on and telling your story. I think the importance of people sharing their stories is massive because even if, like you said, if it resonates with one person, then that's going to ripple off into another person, and so on and so forth. Where can people meet you? Where can people get you if they want to have a chat with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook as Stephanie Stevenson Ward, on Instagram as I am Stephanie Ward, and you can also go to community.thespicybraincollective.com and join my community for free. And we will absolutely celebrate you for choosing to sit with us because we will never get complacent about people choosing us.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love it. And honestly, it's so incredible that you are creating this space for people who could be shunned otherwise, do you know what I mean? Who are in a kind of disadvantaged or can be in a disadvantaged place when actually they should be celebrated. I
Yeah,
love that. I love it. Well,
absolutely.
thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. I'll put all of our details in the show notes so people can just get in touch with you by a click of a button, which is the way forward. So thank you so much for listening. If you want to get in touch with either me or Stephanie, please just drop us a DM and we will definitely, definitely get back to you. Speak to you soon.